Hello, welcome everyone back to another episode of Energy Unleashed. My name is Suzanne with my partner Kim Hess today. Hello.
Hello, Suzanne.
How you doing?
Great.
How you?
Good.
Isn't that a Sylvester Stallone? How you doing?
How you doing?
I saw a picture of this is totally off on a rail, but I saw a short on Facebook of Sylvester Stallone yesterday
Yeah.
dancing, and he's not young.
No.
And he was just grooving away and he was so adorable. And I thought, that's so funny. That dude has really ridden his career for so long and he's still out there just doing really crazy stuff. And he's just jamming away on Facebook. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Sylvester Stallone. I am so hooked on those little shorts. And that actually is one thing I am working with myself on, because you can get sucked into those little shorts on Facebook and or whatever, even your YouTube, and they are addicting, as is TikTok, right? I mean, these are crazy times where we are being so like sucked into stuff
Yeah.
because it's not keeping us connected, right?
You can lose time fast once you like even on Instagram. It's like, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. And
I
especially if
know.
you're looking for something specific and the AI comes in and it's giving you all these, I'm like, all of a sudden 45 minutes is gone. I'm like, what just happened? I don't
That's
understand.
unbelievable, because then AI tracks you and gives you more stuff, and then you're just gone, 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 gone. So
Oh,
this is actually gonna dovetail right into what I wanted to talk about, and I didn't even mean to start it this way. Yeah, I wanted to talk about a client that I had, and oftentimes have, but I just had one the other day who is wickedly, how do I want to say this? Awakening so fast that it's like whoosh. And
mm.
even like a year ago, a young mother, probably, I don't know, in her 30s, uh, unbelievably overwhelmed with guidance. And it wasn't even a thing. Well, I shouldn't say it wasn't a thing, because her family actually has a history of her mom's pretty psychic, her grandma's pretty psychic kind of thing, but wasn't really tapped in. And this guidance came in like whoosh. And I mean, her awakening, a lot of people use that word now, has been so extreme and so overwhelming and so fast. And I've seen her twice now within maybe this year. So it was a pretty good chunk in between. And she just is 100% tapping into guidance,
Oh,
constantly tapping into guidance. And I know we just did a podcast not all that long ago about your guides,
yeah, your
but
connection
I
with your
think this
guys.
is,
Yep. Hmm.
yeah, so this is a little bit different I want to talk about, because it kind of will dovetail eventually into this AI business, in that it's awesome to have guidance. It really is, but it's also important to remember you're the human.
What do you mean by that? Like, okay, so she's
You're
tapping
gonna-
into guidance. And
yeah.
is it like to explain that part of it first? So maybe the rest will make sense.
I know, I love it. I confuse you. Okay, so guidance. What is guidance? Well, give me your opinion. What is guidance?
For
This
me,
isn't a test as I make you choke on your coffee. It's
no, I'm
okay.
sorry. I just got this like
Whoops.
I've got a little congestion right here, and sometimes I just need to.
Sorry.
Sorry. Anyway, not that everybody needs to know that. For me, tapping into guidance, I feel my like intuition on things. I will ask questions in my head a lot and get answers back. Um,
Okay.
so I feel like I didn't understand, like that's taken a lot of work for me to get to that place because I didn't realize that I had that ability to be able to ask questions and then tap in. And then sometimes in dreams, I will get information that makes sense and it kind of unfolds in a little period of time after that dream. It's like, oh, this is what it is. Okay, this is what I'm supposed to do, or what I shouldn't say supposed to or should, but this makes total
Yeah.
sense to me. Okay, let's
Right.
do that.
Right.
So that's
Okay.
that's me.
And per what we talked about last time, not all that long ago on the other podcast, what do you think that guidance is?
For me, I feel like it's very angelic. Um, it's my higher self a lot, like
Okay.
connection with my higher self. But I
Yep.
do feel like I have some spiritual, more angelic guidance periodically.
Assistants or helpers.
Mhm.
Okay, and I'm not going to go through what we did the whole last time, because we already did that. But what I wanted to talk about was why I said the person is in there also is because it's important that we understand that I can hear my inner guidance. I can get my guidance from my higher self, right? My
Yep.
higher self is my higher mind. I'm just pointing this way, even though there's spaces where it goes. But my higher mind is like out here, right? Helping, encouraging, as is my angels, whatever packages we want to put them in. Maybe they're ascended masters, maybe it's dead grandma.
Mhm.
So that's my guidance, yeah, right? But we also have our individualized ego. And
Mhm.
our ego is our version of ourself that is very, very important because this is how I focus and I actually contribute down here. And
Mm.
when we can get the egoic mind in alignment with the divine mind, the higher mind, this is when it works out really well. So what I was saying about this gal and really going into everything is guidance, everything I have to ask, I have to ask, I have to ask. Well, eventually it's you don't have to ask because it is you. So integrate it more is what I'm getting at. Integrate. Yeah, I like you say, I tap in. Well, tap in eventually becomes second nature when
Mhm.
I trust my divine mind so much, when I trust my higher self so much. Now, it's not going to be that way all the time, but my encouragement is to invite yourself to say, oh, I don't always have to tap in to get my
Yeah.
information
Right.
because eventually I am my information because in essence you always were.
Yeah. It's true. And so it's not like for me, I'm not like, oh, let's do a little ceremony and I'm gonna tap in now, and which I you can and I have
Yeah.
previously, especially if it's something big in my life that I'm trying to figure out or make a decision around. But in the day to day, it's like a conversation with myself. You know what I mean? It's like,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So it's not like I'm, yeah, it's like, what would I be? Gosh, so, I should, is it time to sit down and do a prayer in my head, or if I meditate, should I be meditating, right? Or maybe it's time to meditate or whatever that I might be. And it's very clear to me. Yes. Like it just automatically flows through me. It's,
Right.
I don't know. Or
Or
I'm
and
just
or
guided to do
guidance
something. And I'm like, wow, that was interesting. That I just did that.
there. That's what I'm getting at. Eventually,
Yeah.
hopefully, what it gets to is that wow, I'm supposed to be going to write the prayer right now.
Yeah.
Not do I have to write the prayer right
Yeah.
now? So and I'm not making fun of any of this. There isn't a right or a wrong, but my intuitive coaching to clients, especially as they're growing into this so quickly, is even guides
Hmm.
can be separate than us. And eventually, what we want to do is find the oneness of everything, meaning the guidance that you're going to find outside of yourself is actually inside of yourself because it is you.
Yeah.
And so the egoic focus eventually, not ego, like I'm so cool, ego, but the egoic focus of this is my fine tuning through my container in the lesson plans that I came in for. My egoic
Hmm.
brain, my egoic mind is the one that hopefully is keeping track of what my divine mind is sending in as my lessons and I'm experiencing them, right? So when we get these working in unison, it's really important to not always just go, oh, my guide said this, my guide said that, because really we want to own that a little bit eventually.
Well, especially if it's your higher self and not even like it's you. It's you, your
Right.
soul connection, and it can be, like you said, other influence, but in so many things, just in motoring through life, it's your higher connection.
Yes.
Just do.
Eventually, my goal as a practitioner is to assist people to open up all of your psychic channels so that your guidance comes through everything.
Mhm.
Claircognitive, oh my God, you just know that. Clairvoyance, oh my God, I see that. I can even taste it and smell it. I can know it. I can, all of those sentient, I hear it, I see it, I smell it, I know it. All of those ways guidance comes through this thing,
Yeah.
right? This vehicle is really your guidance. And eventually, when we stop going, oh, my guide said this, my guide said that, versus my body knows intuitively to walk away from that person because they're toxic. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a different level of ownership, and nothing is right or wrong with any of this. This is just a suggestion and something that I see in people because my goal as a practitioner is to empower, empower, empower. And
Mhm.
my goal as a human is to understand that it's all one thing anyway. Even when we are talking about dead grandmas and or ascended masters, when it comes to the holographic infrastructure or hierarchy, it still is all the same stuff. It's just source, right? I
Mhm.
am source, I'm of source, it's all source, therefore they are of me, I am them, blah blah. So we are in my opinion, so trained to separate, 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 especially things that are telling us what to do. And we can even do that with guidance. My goal is to unseparate, incorporate, emerge into the guidance, and become the guidance.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. What I think, starting out the conversation, when you're talking about ego, it's such an interesting,
Such a hard word.
maybe that's a whole nother session we do, because working with ego and understand, like, because ego, if you're not using it correctly, or you're becoming very egocentric, is a whole different thing than,
Yep. Ego mind.
yes.
Yeah. And ego mind is extremely important because it takes, and I'm going to bring this up, every one of us is a fractalization of the light source energy, light source fractalized. And if light is, I'm going to see if I can get some light on this. If light is reflecting on this, there's one, a little pop of light, a little pop of light. Okay. My perspective is going to be according to my pops of light on my fractalization. So my ego self needs to be individualized and separate, even though we're all one. So we all come from light, we all fractal from the same light, but my egoic perspective of how I see the fractalizations and create an experience is completely focused here in the ego, right? And so we use ego in a negative way a lot. We use ego in a hubris way. We use ego in a, I'm going to control you way. We use that. But in essence of energy, ego, first and foremost, is your fractalization of individuality, right? And that's your personality. It's your soul personality. And it's extremely important because this is when we start to honor each other. I can honor your perspective because your fractal's different.
Right.
Right. So, and even when it comes to guidance, I can honor the fractalization of an ascended master guide or a dead grandma guide as a guide. But when it comes down to it, my body's bringing it through my template of that individualized, focused, egoic personality embodiment, right? And my goal is to get that guidance into this thing so that I'm present with it.
Yes. Okay.
Does that make some sense?
It does. It does. In that, as I motor through the day, it's there. I'm just,
Right.
you don't even think about it, and especially, like you said, when you are approached by someone and it doesn't feel good, it's not like, should I stand here with this person or shouldn't I? It's an immediate, like, I'm gonna move away from this. You're
And
not.
you can own it that way, which is awesome and beautiful. That's how I choose to own it. Or you can still do it like many at the beginning of their journey is I have to check with my guides to see if this person's okay. And
Yep.
I get an answer no. And they're both okay because it's not that there's a right way and a wrong way again. There isn't a way. It's just, I'm talking about the first thing is more of an integration because we have been gifted these vehicles of meat and bone that have all kinds of access to all of this information. And eventually, I am my guidance.
Right. And there's so many
Right.
influences as you go through your day, right? That I find myself sometimes that I do have to sit down and maybe do a prayer or a quiet time and call in because it's something bigger for me and I don't want to, it's the fear of making the wrong decision probably, or I'm just not connecting like I feel like I should be at that time, to make that decision. So, yeah, it depends on what it is for me, I
Well,
guess.
so now let's circle back and why I blurted out Sylvester Stallone without even knowing I was going to. Biden's. So when I all of a sudden get stuck on a Sylvester Stallone video and then I go to another short and another short, the nefarious agenda is exactly that. Like you said, I'm not connected. Maybe I should. Maybe think about who. Maybe I should get in my heart a little bit. Oh wait, maybe I should get in my heart a little bit. Oh wait, that's the point. We're so trained to go out and we're out in nothingness and distraction versus out in guidance. Okay,
Right.
so figure out why you're out in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So we are being trained right now in a very, very overwhelming way to stay out of the body and be distracted. It's like the last ditch efforts of the dark agenda. Like, oh crap, we didn't do this right, but we can sure distract the shit out of them, and so they don't stay present.
Yes.
right?
Yes. I totally agree.
So
There's so many
this
distractions.
And this is why I want to wrap this around to when I'm talking with this particular client, I said, how do you know that all of this guidance that you have not incorporated into the human body so far, how do you know all of this outside guidance is even real? How do you
Mm,
know that? And then she's like, well, I mean, I just know that. And I'm like, yeah, but how do you know that? And I didn't mean to put fear in it. I'm really calling it out that we, as the human vehicle, if we're letting it be outside of us still, we don't have that check and balance of that thing. And
mhm,
I had a glass of water. It was a see-through glass, and I tapped the side of it and the water wiggled just a titch.
mhm,
And I said, that is how small the wiggle factor is. Like that coffee in there would wiggle just a smidge. That little tiny wiggle factor is as small as that warning can sometimes be when you're not getting true guidance. And I said, and
mm,
if you're not present, and if you're not checking, and if you're not really bringing it into the humanness of you to say, this is a check balance to know if this is real guidance, I can oftentimes find myself in trickster energy. And this is really, really becoming more and more common. And we've talked about this a little bit before, but I swear we could talk about it every other week because this is a big deal. With the AI out there that is distracting, it's also following your algorithms. It's following everything about you. It knows
oh,
everything about you. If you talk about Nike, you got a Nike ad tomorrow on email. I mean, that's the way it goes. So do not fool yourself that there is trickster energy out there that is constantly following you as a guide
mm,
also. If you're talking about Archangel Michael a lot and you buy a Michael book, don't be surprised that a trickster Michael may come to visit you. So this is the personal responsibility of broaching a relationship with guidance and leaving it too obscure out here versus putting it into the container that can watch for that small wiggle factor.
and that wiggle factor is really like intuition, right? Like it's in you.
It can
Yeah.
be any of the senses. It's inside of you more so than outside of you. It
Okay.
can be a nagging. It can be a ping. It can be a my hair is raised on my arms. It can be my stomach got a little sick or my throat choked. It can be
Mhm.
very physical. It can be, that's why I think it's important to bring this into the body more because the physical retraction from, wait a minute, maybe that's not so real, is not dissimilar to retracting from that person who's toxic at the party. I mean,
Right.
that's the whole point is to bring it into the vehicle to be able to go, oh. And then what I told this particular client also is I've always worked in Trinity because I think Trinity is super strong. And I
Mhm.
always ask, show me if this is my highest and best good, or prove to me that this is true guidance, or whatever I'm doing to test it. And I say that 3 times because that wiggle factor will still be here right at the beginning, like, nah, 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 nah.
Mhm.
And then it's starting to go, oh crap. And then you're left with, oh, and then it has to, if you're holding your ground,
Mhm.
it has to accommodate for universal law to leave if it isn't authentic and you're commanding no consent. So that's the next step I told her. If that wiggle factor is creeping in, stand up with your sovereignty and say, I do not consent. I do not consent to anything that is not of my highest and best, or whatever you choose to articulate it as. So these are boundaries that, because AI is getting so strong and
Oof.
trickster energy is getting so easy,
Mhm.
that it is important for us to have personal responsibility for this stuff.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like, it's incredible to me how inundated you can be very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been there. Yes, I understand.
And and now a lot of people watching this might be going, oh crap, now I don't know. Now I'm even more scared. Now I'm even more scared. There, you just fell for it again. Because these kinds of messages are not for you to be scared in any way, shape, or form that something may come to you. It's the exact opposite for you to command of yourself, not of this, command of yourself. I am designed with a discernment boundary, hence my aura and my bubble and my field, that is designed into my humanness for specifically this. This is my discernment tool to say that is not for my highest and best good. So stop giving the power to everything and anything else and bring it inside. So to circle this around one more time is to say, you can always have your guidance out here, which is fine and dandy. But the more that you bring guidance in here, it is contained within that frequency of your auric bubble, and you
Mhm.
become very intimate with that. And anything that jeopardizes that, your immediately response is like, wait a minute, that's that toxic person, or that's that toxic thing, or that doesn't feel right, or that feels nefarious, and on it goes. So that's the
It
process.
it makes a lot of sense. And it's it like you said, there's not a necessarily a wrong way, but to keep doing the work to bring it inward, it can take some time to trust that, I think.
Yeah.
If you're not used to it. So yeah,
And
it's
spirit's a beautiful thing. It will nag the crap out of you if you're not listening. And sometimes, if you don't listen, it gets louder and louder. And sometimes the 2x4 has to fall on your head. Hopefully not. But I think it's the book I'm writing right now is where I tell about, a project that I did years and years ago. And it was out in the multiverses, and I was very clear in getting my messages, but yet there was this itious bittiest wiggle factor, and I did not honor that wiggle factor, and
Mhm.
it drove me nuts for it only took 3 days, but the loudness of that wiggle factor changed quite exponentially as the hours went on, and I'm like, yeah, something's not right, something's not right. And so then when I did stand up for my sovereignty and my consent, everything was made clear. But
Yeah.
if I ignored that little wiggle, which many of us do because we think that God is telling us what to do. So, and I guess I would like to round this down on guidance, true source guidance. I gave this information to this gal. Will never tell you that you're the one. Will never tell you that you're more special. It will never tell you that you are sent, specifically by God's source, and they're going to use you for this, et cetera, et cetera. We're all sent. We all have missions. We all have goals. We all have reasons here. No one is better than anyone else in the biggest term of that kind of like value system. And
Mhm.
if you are getting these egoic, hubris, narcissistic bumps from guidance, that's your biggest indicator that this is false.
Well, because there are some major people in this type of industry, healing industry, that have taken huge falls
Yeah.
over time because they thought they were the ones. They were the chosen
Yep.
one, to lead people and heal people. And it's been incredible to watch what happens
Yeah.
when you go down that path.
And it happens very quickly, which is really crazy to a lot of people if they are not aware that, again, that divine mind and ego mind is a design mechanism that is meant to work together, and then bringing into the heart space of the vehicle itself. It's a process. It's not just willy-nilly. And we are all privy to guidance. But if we give away our power to even guidance, that makes us vulnerable to being ignorant of what we're actually bringing in.
And I would think that would be hard as a major like channeler,
Yeah.
thinking about that it's not that you're this everyday person and then you're channeling this amazing information from whatever source, and that I can't imagine how hard it is to keep your boundaries and your energy in a place that is holistic for you, for yourself. um
Well, and remember, it's interesting because I was talking with her about this. She wanted guidance on this thing, and yet her ego was going this way, and she was having this little thing. And she was really confused. Was that poor guidance? Was that bad guidance? Because my ego was being more stubborn and wanted to do this. You know what I
mhm.
mean? Remember, when we're in true alignment, our higher self can give us information of how to get to our end goal. It can say, this is the shortest path and the ease and graceest path. But I also have free will choice, and my egoic brain and container can make another choice. Does that mean it's a bad guidance, bad choice, bad anything? No, it means it's a different choice. So this egoic choice might take me over here and over here and under here to get to the same thing that this brought me to with ease and grace. So which is better or worse? Neither. It's just different. This
Mhm.
may open up new soul contracts. This may open up other, tributaries on my so-called flow of my river to the ending, right? I mean, nothing needs to be looked at as right or wrong in terms of ego guidance versus divine guidance. as long as it's working in love and grace and on the highest and best, right?
Mhm.
So what we're also talking about, however, is nefarious agendas. So, we're going to make you the perfect one. You're the vehicle. We picked you. You're going to stand on the stage and we're going to bring you millions of people to listen to you because you're the prophet. You're the one. Hello, ding, 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 ding.
Right.
Those are the kinds of things that we want to be aware of, because I've heard many people go, I'm a channel now. And I'm like, but good for you, and I'm like, be careful. So one of the things that I watched during the time period of the fall of many of the so-called spiritual people that you were just attesting to was judgment, was I'm right in what I'm saying.
Mhm.
And that's oftentimes why we will reiterate, take it if it, resonates, because I don't get, and I say this with all of my clients, I don't get to tell you what to do, how to live, how to change, how to choose. It's not my right. I don't have any right. And when someone channels saying, this is the right candidate, for example, this is when I saw the very first Trump campaign at the very beginning, was where I saw a lot of political stuff move into spiritual channeling, which is astounding to me, because that was so not what ascended masters are making choices on political stances. They're so far above that. That is so low frequency that, they could have indeed addressed the fear surrounding the choices, but the way that a lot of those people were making a stance to be, let's just leave it at Republican or Democrat, it was ridiculous. And that's where I started to see, oh shit, you're not channeling, you're just, John, you're just doing that. So it was very interesting. And I actually, as did you, because we're friends and we know each other, we walked away from many, many people online and never went back. Every
Oh,
once in a while,
it's
I'll check
like,
in and I'm still like, nope, nope, nope.
we
So
even went to a conference and we didn't go at the remainder of it because it was like, no,
there's
not for
some weird,
me.
yeah, weird stuff,
Yeah.
and don't be afraid of walking out. You never have to finish anything when it doesn't resonate, including
Oof.
our stuff. If it doesn't resonate, just turn it off, So it's really, I think the indicator is non-neutral. It can give advice, it can work around the subject, it can support either or, but it also, and it can say this is the more love-filled choices, la la la, but it doesn't get to say this is the right choice.
Mhm.
Because again, even within our own, divine mind might do this, ego mind might do this. Who cares? It's just a choice.
Right. Right. And I think that your point that you could free will choice can take you off in a different direction potentially instead of taking the shortest route. Um, all those experiences though usually even make you stronger in what you are trying to accomplish in your spiritual path or your journey.
Definitely can.
Mhm.
Or they can uproot you and bring you back and do a whole lot of whatever and start all over again with more
Mhm.
dark night and deeper, which in essence is still work. So regardless how it feels and experiences and shows up, it's still good work.
Yes.
Good
Yep.
work is not always fun.
Oh my God,
Right?
no. No, there were so many times where I'm like, you know what? I just want to have a normal life of just going to the grocery store and making dinner and doing laundry. I don't know.
La, la, la. Yeah. And then
Doesn't
when you
work.
really sit with your quiet self and your guidance,
Yeah.
and it says, would you
You're
really
like,
though, Kim? Yeah.
seriously, what are you
Would you
thinking?
really? Yeah. So these are just things that I think we'll continue to touch on periodically as guidance, because it is getting louder and stronger and different for everybody. Wherever you're at in your journey is exactly where you're supposed to be.
Mhm.
Some people are moving quicker than others. That's not a value system. Just practice and play and do, in my opinion, your best to find the joy factor, because that is, I think, the fun part about it. Play with your guides. Show me something funny today. Show me a pumpkin. Well, not now because it's pumpkin season, but I mean, like this, it would be like, show me, something out of season, show me an Easter bunny all of a sudden. And then all of a sudden you'll see something silly and there's the Easter bunny. So it's fun to dick around with that kind of a thing just
Yeah.
for fun.
Yeah.
Watch your numbers, watch the things on the clock. My family screams out 1, 2, 3, 4 all the time when it's 12:34. Things like that are fun to do so that you remember that you're connected. And you don't have to be like connected all day long, because you already are connected all day long. That's
Yeah.
the cool part,
It's
right?
fun to play with it, but also you may be getting messages and all of a sudden you're like, really? Like, okay, now that's the third time that that's
Yeah.
happened in a 2-day period. I'm hearing you. Like, okay, I'm listening now.
Yep.
That happens.
That's when the 2x4 is going to hit you if you don't listen after 3. It's kind of 3 strikes and your out number will hit you over the head.
Right.
So yeah, be aware.
Yeah. That's
That's
good.
great. All right. Well, anything else?
No, I think this was really a good one. And I think that, like you said, guidance is such an interesting and it's kind of complicated. It takes practice. That touching on it quite often, especially as our outer environment is changing so much, the 3D world.
Yeah.
I think we change with that, and there's so many growth opportunities, as we go through
Yeah.
these experiences. So I think it's a
And
good
it's
one to touch
always
on again.
changing.
Hmm.
Yeah, always changing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for listening. Maybe share the video, like the actual subscribe, whatever rings your bell, whatever guides you to do. Until next time, Kim and I say thanks and see you soon. Cosmic hugs.
Goodbye.